Good morning. We're going to get started with June's Fireside Chat. Welcome. We do have a few spaces available. If any of you watching from your apartment would like to come on down. I just was admiring some staff members who were just coming in with wonderful bags of fresh fruit and produce. So I just want to remind everyone to enjoy the market that's right outside our doors, if you have a chance. So I'm delighted to welcome you all to June's Fireside Chat. We've decided to give Mike a little vacation. So Mike is enjoying the Big Island right now for a couple of weeks, and he'll be back after the 4th of July holiday. Got a great lineup. I think today's Fireside Chat is going to end on time, if not sooner. And so you're going to be hearing very shortly from Brian Byers, our Director or Assistant Director of Operations. And it'll be nice to have him up here to share some updates with you. Jeff is going to share some dining services updates. And Devin is going to talk to you about some internet issues that took place recently. We'll have Elizabeth come up to share some resident council updates. And then, of course, our new resident and employee introductions. And I'll wrap up with some final announcements. So without further ado, Brian Byers, come on up.
Thank you, Lori. For those who don't recognize me, I haven't been able to take my mask off very often since I joined, but my name is Brian Byers. I'm the Associate Director of Operations, and I've got a few operations updates I want to share with you today. So the first one was about something that was discussed last Fireside Chat about our Saving Water Partnership Program. It's pretty surprising because we might get used to it, but one of the biggest ways of wasting water is a running toilet. We only want those running when we flush them, right? So we had a pilot program go out. We asked if that's happening in anyone's apartment, and it was. So we got a great response. We had 12 surveys returned and completed. And just so everyone knows, if your toilet is running all the time, that equates to 15 showers a day. That's a lot. I try to take one a day, try. So 15 showers by 12 apartments, that's 180 showers equivalent that we were wasting. We want to be very conscientious of the water we use. We're a large organization. And so we want to clamp down on anything that's a waste, right? So if that's happening in your apartment, you've heard a hum coming from your bathroom, just let us know. We'd be happy to come up there. Generally, it's a pretty quick fix. We've got a great facilities team. They'll take care of you. It's a quick fix. But if that happens, please let us know. It was a great response, and we're real excited to get all of those 12 work orders repaired. I can't see my slide. So our next slide is about elevator planned service. Notice I said planned service. We have some elevator service interruptions coming up. We don't have an exact date, but the elevators that we're going to be having some impacts are elevators 1, 2, and 3. And what we need to do is update some of our electrical panels. When we update those panels, we have to take these elevators out of service. Good news, we plan on doing this overnight, hopefully when everyone is asleep, unless you're a night owl. So we plan on having this work done in the evening hours. Like I said, we don't have an exact date, and this is just elevators 1, 2, and 3. And once it gets scheduled, we will make sure to communicate on all outlets to the organization when this will happen. But like I said, we don't plan on starting any earlier than 11. 1, 2, and 3 is back behind us here in the Central East Tower that most commonly are used in the main lobby. I know we've talked about elevator 11. I'm not going to be talking about 11 today, just 1, 2, and 3. Good question, Beth. Thank you. The next couple of updates I'm real excited to share about Paul Piggott Memorial Corridor. This is a beautiful corridor that many of us use. Many of us go out through University Street or E level of the west wing. This is the corridor between our building, Virginia Mason's Benaroya Research Center, as well as one of our neighbors, the Cielo. It's a beautiful, beautiful corridor that we're very fortunate to have in an urban setting where we can go out on walks. The sun's coming out, right? We want to get out. We want to walk. We want to get out in our little corner of nature here in an urban environment. We have a partnership with the Seattle Parks Department, with the Cielo, and we've been made aware that some of the fountains on the upper section are not currently running. Usually this time of year they are, and we want them running, right? So we're working with those shared stakeholders between ourselves, between the Cielo and the Seattle Parks Department to get those repairs done. So hopefully we can have those cleaned and running very soon. Hopefully when we get that information, we'll be able to share it with you. I have a feeling many of us in this room will know before we can even get the word out because we use it every day, right? It's a really nice area to walk. I have some other exciting, hopefully don't switch the slide yet, but some other important updates that I'm really proud to speak of about the Paul Memorial Corridor, Paul Piggott Memorial Corridor, is if you're on the upper section looking down, there's been a troubled area. Some of you that might have a West Wing apartment are more familiar with this area because you can see it from your apartment, but it's attracted some unwanted attention in recent years. We've had trespassers in the area. We've had graffiti in the area. We've had illegal drug use in the area. And that's just unfortunate because it's an area that's kind of out of sight. So it's attracted that attention. Back in the early 2000s, we worked with a fencing company and had it fenced in. And it worked for a while. But that fence became compromised. We repaired it. It became compromised. We repaired it. And we said, we need to work with our neighbors to get this more secure. And it takes a lot of collaboration because it's a shared property. The Cielo, that is to one of our neighbors over there, they own a small part of that property. So this is one of my big projects when I joined, was working with them. It's not only working with them, it's working with the city. It's working with a fencing contractor. It's working with a professional cleanup crew. Because as good as we are here, we are not specialized in that type of cleanup. And we want to do our due diligence and not just rake up hazardous waste and put it to the landfill, right? We want to do the right thing. This is hazardous waste. So Nika, you can slide to the next one. I have some before and after pictures. I think next slide. I know I said don't change slides, so I got you. There we go. So pretty dramatic improvement. This is from the Cielo in the alley, looking down. This is some of the improvement that we've had. As you can notice, obviously it's cleaner, right? It looks like someone took a rake and cleaned it up. Our cleanup crew actually had to take an excavator through the whole area and go 6 inches down and remove all that topsoil. Because it's very common that some of the items like needles that we found, once someone has used those, they will push them down into the soil. That was very common. So once they started going into the soil, it was pretty remarkable how much stuff that they found. You can see the fence, the upgrades to the fence. The new material in that after picture is a 5/8 galvanized steel that is extremely hard to tamper with. We had 150 feet of that to repair and to put up. Each roll that is only 10 feet long is 150 pounds. So it's top of the line when it comes to a fence that you don't want people to compromise. I'm happy to report, since this has been repaired, I've walked it every single day in the morning and every single day in the evening. We've had no one messing with it. And even if they've tried, they've been very unsuccessful. We've got more work planned in this area, but we're really happy with the progress that we've made. So I have a few more slides that just show our before and after. So feel free, Nika, to kind of go through those. You'll see another one from the alleyway. And here we go. We'll stay here for a second. This is one you might be more familiar with. This is where we can see it if we're up in that area where the water is. When you're looking down into it, you can see the graffiti before. That graffiti spanned the entire distance inside of there, which is kind of difficult to see. But even though you can't see it that well, we wanted it gone. So we worked with a bunch of individuals to get that cleaned up. And you can see the dramatic improvement in obviously just the overall appearance. And I wanted to give a shout out to these individuals. These are the 4 individuals. They thought they'd be here for 1 day. We got them for 2. Just absolutely professionals. They had a smile on their face when they showed up. This is difficult work. It's hazardous work. And they've been busy. And they were just absolute pros. I was very pleased to work with them, albeit I don't want to work with them too often. They were just wonderful. So I asked, can I get a picture? Because we have a great community and I want to share this with the community. So those 4 gentlemen were wonderful to work with. And we can go to the next slide, Nika. We do have another area I want to talk about. We have some updates coming. We plan on starting at the end of this month, if not the beginning of July. But this is our north slope. It's just north of the North Tower here. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's good, because I don't want you going there. It's a very steep slope that we've had some foot traffic. We haven't had the problems in this area like we have down in that alley, but it's a very steep slope that's just had some foot traffic, right? And we don't want anyone getting hurt on our property. And it has been a great shortcut for some individuals. So we want to get this cleaned up and make sure that it's just not an area for people to walk through. We want them to take the Paul Piggott corridor. So we're going to be putting some fencing in there. It's not going to be that really heavy duty fencing. It's going to be a very standard chain link fence with some slits that go through it, just to deter people walking. We put up some temporary fencing and it just didn't work, but we've partnered. It's very similar to this property I just mentioned. It's shared with the Willis Apartments right next door. So they've had a new property manager recently who's been very willing to work with us. We're going to get some new fencing in. We're going to do some modest landscaping improvements. Like I mentioned, it's a very steep slope. We live in a wet environment for many months of the year. We want to make sure the drainage is appropriate, because improper drainage could lead to repairs down the road that we want to try to avoid. And we're also going to be look at doing some small irrigation in the area. So you might see that work starting soon if you walk out here, but that's going to be pretty minimal. Should just take a couple of days. And we're real excited to get that area closed off, mainly for safety of anyone that's been walking through there. And so my final update from the operations team, from the organization, is very exciting. This afternoon at 2:30, we're going to have our very first Horizon House Pride Parade. Very first, the inaugural. So this will be great. This is going to be a wonderful way to celebrate Pride Month. If you haven't had a chance to look at some of the displays here, they're just unbelievable. It's very educational. It's commemorating the past and celebrating equality. We've got a long way to go, but it really celebrates how far we've come. So come join us today. We're going to start right here in the Fireside Lounge at 2:30. Feel free to be with us. Feel free to be a spectator. Come however you want. The more color, we'll welcome it, but it's going to be really exciting. So we're looking forward to doing that. But we're going to start right here at 2:30, and that'll be a good transition to Jeff with Dining Services that has some updates. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Brian. Let's see. Go ahead. There we go. So piggybacking off the Pride Parade that will be going on, we will be finishing that parade down on the B1 Terrace for a barbecue picnic. It'll be from 3 to 5 tonight. And a reminder with that, there will be no lunch or dinner service in the dining room because of that. So all of our focus will be down there on the picnic. And the first drink of the night for everybody is going to be complimentary, hosted by Horizon House. So thank you to all the residents, and thank you to admin for providing that for everyone. We'll have some beer and wine, but we've also brought in some fun craft cocktails, some flavored margaritas and pomonos and stuff like that in the can. So something different, something fun. We'll see how everybody likes those. All right. Now moving on to my next slide. Yeah, so just as always, I like to share a couple pictures from our last events. I didn't speak at the last Fireside Chat, But we have a couple nice pictures from Mother's Day and from Father's Day last weekend. Barry wanted me to just mention, I see the holy jeans from a couple of our servers there. You know, kids these days, we tell them they can wear jeans, and sometimes those jeans are a lot more expensive than the ones without holes. So, but we've addressed that. You won't be seeing those holy jeans anymore, okay? Then the next slide. This is the big one we want to talk about. So if we've noticed in the menu packet the last week, we will be starting to do some sit-down dinners again, starting Tuesday, June 28th. And every Tuesday moving forward past that, we will be doing sit-down dinners. So please visit HH Connect and Open Table to make a reservation if you would like to dine with us on one of these evenings. Also, do note that the buffet service that we do most other nights won't be happening on Tuesday nights. So anytime we are doing sit-down dinner service, there won't be a buffet, but do know we still will offer food to go for pickup and delivery. We do ask that to be ordered by 5 o'clock just to help us kind of be prepared and ready for what each night is going to give us. But that's something that we will still be doing. So look for that. All this information is in the menu packet, which I know sometimes not everybody reads, but I do please encourage everyone to read what we have in our menu packet. We do put out some pretty important information, and it is a lot of times we do get questions during the week, well, about something that was in there. With that being said, I thought I would take this time to just mention a couple other things that we do put in the menu packet every week, or not every week, but just updates to be mindful of. One thing, while we're in the coffee Fireside Lounge here, we've noticed we have actual coffee mugs now that we've been providing. Now, please note the purpose of those is to be enjoyed in the Fireside Lounge, not to be brewed and then taken off to your apartment. We are missing quite a few of our mugs already. So if you do have those in your apartments, we do ask you to return them so we can have them provided for everybody in the lounge. And if you do want to take coffee to go, definitely bring your own vessel down and use that as well. Sticking with the barbecue themes, we've recently started to do our normal Tuesday barbecues at lunchtime. So that will be continuing. Next Tuesday, we will have one as well. Do note some weeks we won't have one on Tuesday. For instance, 4th of July is on a Monday, so we will be doing a big barbecue that day from 12 to 2, menu to follow, but there won't be a barbecue the next day, of course. Another topic that's been brought up a couple times is the grocery list and what items you can use for your choice dining account and what items to go towards your charge account. I just want everybody to be aware we do have a copy of the grocery list on HH Connect, and it is separated and highlighted what items can use choice dining dollars and which can't. And there's also copies of that menu in the bistro if you wanted to have one in person, or always if you want one dropped off in your box or anything like that, shoot me an email and I will gladly provide that for you. So I think that's all I have for my updates. Oh, got a question. Yes. Correct. Yes. So the menu will, oh yes, the question was on Tuesday nights for the sit down service, will you be able to order off the regular menu? And yes, that will be the case. So do note the bistro specials will be moved back to the bistro on those nights, and the regular menu will be available. And you will see the return of the filet mignon and the yakisoba noodles to start. And moving forward, we'll try to add some more things to the menu as we get more employees and servers started. I have a few servers that are hired and are about to start this week, and a couple more that started a week or so ago. So we're improving there. We've also got Nat returning to the kitchen, who wasn't with us for about 6 to 8 months. And she is going to be an immense help to us in the kitchen, which is going to be one of the reasons why we have identified Tuesday as the best night to start doing these dinners. But we will expand as well. So look for in the next month or so, more than just Tuesday nights, at least a couple more nights that we'll add in there. So yes, Ms. Lewis.
And it would be too big to use. And then I saw someone that you can lower the place where you put your coffee cup. And so now I can use my coffee cup with the lid and take it back to my room. So other people might want to notice that you can lower the little round things and put a bigger mug there.
Excellent. Well, thanks for that update, Ms. Lewis. Appreciate that. Any other questions? All right. Devin with IT.
Good morning, all. I think some of you, maybe just a few, know who I am, I'm guessing. For those of you that don't know, I'm Devin with the IT department, and I'm here to talk today about Wi-Fi. Now, we had good, thank you. Probably easier to hear me now. I'm going to talk about a slight little mishap we had with Wi-Fi. I'm sure no one noticed that was a joke. Basically, we just want to kind of cover what happened with Wi-Fi. This was an issue we experienced over the past couple of weeks, and it was definitely very noticed. So just want to kind of recap what happened, what we did, and then what we're doing to prevent that from happening again. So just to recap, this was back when we had a power outage. So when the internet issue happened, we were getting just a few handful of reports from just a few people. When that happens with us, that's not uncommon. As you know, devices are different. They act as they will. So when we get issues about Wi-Fi, our first step is to investigate, is this an issue with Wi-Fi or is it an issue with your device? So that can be tricky into itself. And when we get just a few hints of that, we tend to suspect the device first, just to make sure we're covering our bases. As time went on, we kept getting more and more reports. So we started shifting our thinking from maybe this is an Apple update that's impacted some people to maybe we have something more system-wide. One of the key things we were noticing is that the issue was about the same time as the power outage. So as we got more and more reports about that, we said, aha, this is probably a bigger thing. So as we got information about the power outage, we started investigating our equipment. Now, the one downside is the power outage was a little misleading to us. So we investigated the equipment that would have been impacted by that incident. Unfortunately, that was a little bit of wasted time because it didn't lead down a path that was productive. But it's something for due diligence we did want to cover just to be safe because it was a big issue and did impact a lot of people on Comcast were impacted by that. So we thought there was a chance. As we went on, we started working we took a couple of residents that had some key devices. So we kind of handpicked a few residents. The ones that worked with me, thank you so much for your help. If you didn't work with me, no offense. We didn't not pick you for any particular reason. We just wanted to isolate to a few residents with different device types. So what we did is as we started investigating the issue, we worked with them, made changes, worked with them again, see if the problem was still there, made changes, kind of a back and forth thing. This went on for a little bit. As we did that, we made some changes that were productive and we got good reports from these test residents. Unfortunately, those changes didn't last as long as we thought. So back to the drawing board. One of the key issues we thought we had fixed, we got reports said, yep, everything's working great. Pretty much boiled down to the next day, things were kind of back to normal. So we said, okay, let's keep going here. As we started investigating more, we found there was a really important clue. The clue was that residents on the Horizon resident network were having this slowness. People who had switched over to the guest network had no problems. We're also investigating on the staff side. We found no issues at all. That hint is important because only the resident network was impacted. And the key symptom was that you could get where you were going. It was just painfully slow to get there. Your pages would take minutes to load if maybe they got there at the first try. So once we found that clue and really grabbed hold of that, we started investigating how the internet flows along that path. And just to give you kind of a quick visual, imagine you have the letter Y, a capital Y. We have staff and guest network on one side and the resident network on the other side. And then when it meets in the middle, that's how it gets out to the outside world. So we started following that path. And we found that as we followed that path, there was a key piece of equipment that as that internet goes through it, it was causing some slowness. And the aha moment was we realized The same day the power outage happened, which is why everyone was reporting the power outage was a key indicator, we had done an update to this equipment about that same time. And as soon as we looked at this and got all these hints and all that came together, we said, I think it's the update. So what we did as the final fix is we took that piece of equipment, we rolled back to the previous version we were on when everything was working great. And that was the fix moment. So that was a lot of information to throw at you. Kind of in summary of what happened. We first got cues when the power outage happened. People are saying our internet's running really slow. We thought it was just a onesie twosie thing. It blossomed into something bigger. We started investigating all the possible causes. Not much of that was fruitful until we got the aha moment where we found it was an update that was done and that caused the issue. One little side note, may say, well, why do the updates? Don't you check these? We do these updates and they're really important to keeping things secure and functioning correctly. The good thing about these updates is there's multiple versions that happen and we don't do them until they release the final ones that have been vetted by our vendor. The issue for us is we have a slightly unique setup, the way we set up the resident network. So that's a little unique to us specifically that there's no way our vendor could have foreseen that. So once we had isolated that, the rollback to the previous version was nice and easy. They supported us and got it done really quickly. So where we're at now is that update has been, like I said, rolled back. And what we're doing now is we're working with our vendor to investigate the why. So everything's working good now, but we're not going to do the next update until we know that's not going to have an impact. So we are watching this and we want to make sure we test it thoroughly. So with technologies, as you know, a lot of you with the Apple products have found when you do updates, surprises happen. I'm speaking of the private address feature I've helped a lot of you with. So updates bring good things. They also bring surprises on occasion. And that was the occasion for us. So the next thing I want to mention is we take the Wi-Fi connectivity really seriously. I'm sure a lot of you know I've worked hand in hand with you. So we always look at your devices. So when this happened, it went for a lot longer than we did, or than we wanted to do. And that was mainly attributed to a bunch of different factors that made it really, really difficult to pinpoint. So we're extremely sorry for the delay that it took to get this finally resolved. It was a good learning opportunity. We have some ideas on how to troubleshoot things better next time. But it was kind of a unique, perfect storm of nothing really highlighting what the actual problem was. So eventually we got there, found out, fixed it, and got that workaround in place. So again, if you're having any issues with Wi-Fi still, we've done a lot of testing to show we believe the problem is resolved. But there's two things that you want to keep an eye on as you kind of move forward with using the internet. One is that some of the devices may swap back to the guest network. We did advise people to use the guest network when that issue was happening. So keep an eye on all your devices. There's a chance it's using the guest network. And if that's the case, you may still have some hiccups there. You want to get it back on the resident network, call me at 2703 if you have any issues with that. The second issue is, like I've been picking on Apple a little bit. Don't worry, I have an iPhone, so it's okay. iPhones and iPads are impacted by a feature called private address. Long story short, when that feature is turned on, it does not work with our Wi-Fi system anymore. So I get a lot of reports saying Wi-Fi is not working. It's actually working perfect. The device has turned that feature on. And then you're not able to use the internet at that point with us. So don't worry. The good thing is, and the question was, what feature is that? It's a feature on iPads and iPhones primarily, and it's a feature called private address. So it's a really important feature to keep an eye on. It does turn itself back on after updates typically. If you're not sure how to do it, talk to Peel Tech, talk to me. It's like a maybe a 30-second to 1 minute fix. So don't worry, don't feel any pressure about it. But I just want to highlight that because it's a little misleading when that happens. I get a lot of reports saying Wi-Fi is still not working. As soon as I work with you, I find out, yep, the private address is it, and we fix it real quick. That feature is coming on Android devices too. So I'm just taking this time to really highlight that and make sure it's kind of in everybody's back of their minds. But again, just to recap, we wanted to get in front of this issue real quick, let you know that we spent a tremendous amount of time working on the problem. And we do not enjoy when these things go down, so we're right there with you. But we do want you to know that we take it really seriously. we were pretty much 100% of our time looking into that issue when it happened. So we do appreciate you guys using our Wi-Fi, and we wanted to make sure it's the absolute best it can be. And we're going to continue doing that. I will open up real quick for just a few questions if you have it, but I don't want to take too much time. Oh, y'all might be easy on me. This is great. Last chance? The question was, is the private address feature, is it under settings? Yes, essentially what you do is you, in your I'll call it iDevice, you essentially go to settings, then you go to Wi-Fi. To the right of the name Horizon Residence, there's a little blue eye. You tap that, you scroll down slightly, and you'll see the feature private address. Make sure that feature is turned off. So if you want an explanation as to why that matters, give me a call. It's a little too detailed for our chat now, but it is a great question and an absolute thing to keep an eye on too. Any more questions? I'm loving it. But if you have any more questions you don't want to ask here, or you feel you're still having issues, call us at 2703. One more highlight is call 2703, not me directly, because I don't check my voicemail as much as I'd like to. So it's even harder to get back to you. So 2703, that allows you to reach myself, Nika, and Michael. But with that, I'll pass it on to Elizabeth. Oh, Valerie, sorry. Sorry.
Sorry, I always follow Elizabeth, so I wasn't ready. It is my pleasure to introduce some of our newest residents. I don't think, well, some of them are here. Marcia Almquist. Marcia was born in Texas and lived in a variety of places, including Ecuador, where she recently moved from. She earned her MA from New York University and BA from Carleton College, was a founding member of Plymouth Housing Group, and has a long history working in the low-income housing sector. Marcia enjoys reading, music, bridge, traveling, and is a member of the Rotary Club. Welcome, Marcia. And Audrey Wimblom. Audrey was born in Pennsylvania. She earned her BA from wasn't ready to talk yet. She earned her BA from Gettysburg College and worked as an editor. Audrey is a member of the Queen Anne Fortnightly Club and enjoys gardening and journalism. Welcome, Audrey. Tim Bradbury, I don't think joined us today. Tim was born in Seattle. He earned his BA with honors from Washington State University, his MA from Roosevelt University, and J from the University of Chicago, and worked as an attorney and a Superior Court judge. Tim is a member of Mature Friends and Fighting for the Minority, and enjoys fine art and photography. Welcome to Horizon House, Tim. Bob and Margaret Liston are here in the front. Margaret was born in Minnesota, but moved to Seattle at the age of 4. She earned her BA in psychology from the University of Washington, master's in psychology from Simon Fraser University, and 20 years later, her fine arts degree from the UW. She was a research assistant at both UW Rehab Medicine and UW Primate Center and managed department buildings. Margaret belongs to the Contemporary Quilt Art Association, UW Alumni, Seattle Print Arts, Surface Design Association, and the Corinthian Yacht Club. Her interests include art, quilting, sailing, swimming, gardening, cooking, beading, knitting, bargain shopping, and magic. Bob was born in Seattle. He earned his BA in communications from the University of Washington and was a manager in the Human Services Department at the City of Seattle. Bob is a member of the Corinthian Yacht Club and volunteer with Food Lifeline, and enjoys swimming, sailing, and reading. Welcome, Bob and Margaret. And Nancy and Mike, I don't believe are here. Nancy Najetsky and Mike Gold. Nancy was born in Des Moines, Iowa. She earned a BA and MBA in psychology, taught business, and worked in accounting and business management. She is a member of the People's Memorial Association, End of Life Washington, WACCRA, and Providence Hospital. Nancy was key in getting the Death with Dignity Act passed in both Washington and Vermont, and enjoys speaking on end-of-life issues, which I'm sure will put her to use, and is interested in photography, ballroom dancing, writing, and gardening. Mike was born in Chicago. He earned his BS in forest management from the University of Washington and had a 40-year IT career specializing in transportation and logistics. Mike is a member of the Sandpoint Tennis Club, Cascade Bike Club, and the Mountaineers, WACCRA, and People's Memorial, and enjoys outdoor activities and history. Welcome, Mike and Nancy. And so I don't know if I'm introducing Elizabeth next for the residence update. Yes.
So we continue to commemorate our 60th year as a residence council at Horizon House. And in doing so, one of the most important actions is our annual gift to the Partners in Caring Drive. In 1967, the council, in its resident-driven philanthropy, established a drive to subsidize fees of residents whose funds were running out. And we're pleased that the Partners in Caring Endowment provides a steady funding stream to meet this purpose still today. Charlene Hutchinson is the philanthropy campaign manager, and it is my pleasure on behalf of the Residents Council to present you our second contribution of $7,500 this year for a total of $15,000 in the year 2022 to the Partners in Caring Endowment. Thanks so much, everybody. It's on your behalf doing this.
On behalf of Horizon House, I want to thank the Residents Council for continuing to fulfill this 55-year tradition of supporting our philanthropic efforts here. So thank you very much. And just a quick shout out, the ice cream social is Tuesday, July 12th, and everyone is invited. Thank you.
In closing, I just want to remind you that the Residents Council does not meet in the month of July. But as Charlene just said, there'll be the ice cream social. And as Jeff said, there'll be a couple of barbecues, but we will be sponsoring the annual picnic toward the end of July. Just watch for announcements for that in your alert. But I just want you to know it's being timed according to the sun, because we're not going to have a canopy this year. Because of the cost of the canopy. So we're trying to be very careful that everybody will be comfortable. But again, whatever you've heard, rumors, you're welcome to wear whatever you would like, okay? And I don't know who's on the program for next.
Okay. How's everybody doing today? Happy Friday. Hello, everybody. My name is Silverina. I'm the HR coordinator here, and I get the pleasure of introducing you guys to some of our newer employees that are going to be helping us out. Are my slides ready? Perfect. Let me just point this over. All right, so first we have Kimberly Thomas. So Kimberly Thomas is coming to us working in assisted living. She is going to be an elder care assistant. Some of you may see her around. She typically comes in the evening shift. So she's working that 11 o'clock, leaves about 7:30 in the morning. So if you see her, she's a big joy. She has a big personality and she loves people. Next is Elias. He is going to be Elias Kadir. He works in the garage. So you guys will be seeing him valeting your cars if you're parking on the university level. He typically works in the morning. It is off at 3:30. So you guys will be seeing him in the morning to afternoon time. And then next, I have Jonathan Albachu. He is going to be one of our servers in food services. He just started yesterday, and so today is his second day. So if you guys see him around, say hello and get familiar with him. He's a joy, and I think you guys will really enjoy him when you guys go in the dining room for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And then we do not have Christian pictured, but Christian Conchella Aguilera, he is going to be working as an environment service technician. Christian will actually be starting with us next week as he will be coming to us working our afternoon to evening shift. And so when Christian does come aboard, I'll make sure to get that picture taken. And then I also wanted to let you guys know that we will be updating the picture board downstairs so that you guys are able to see all the new faces that are coming here to help us out at Horizon House. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for allowing me to take some of your time. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you for all of your efforts, HR team, to bring us new employees. Terrifically appreciate that. Couple of brief announcements before I finish with some formal announcements. One, in about 20 minutes, my twin daughters, Anessa and Haley, graduate from middle school. I have high schoolers. I can hardly believe it, especially for those of you who were on my journey with Miracle Babies almost 14 years ago. The other news is, of course, this is our last fireside chat with our beloved Ryan Schuler, our wellness director, whose last day with us will be next Friday, July 1st. As you all know by now, Ryan's husband, Brett, has been accepted into medical school. Great, great news. What that means for us, however, is they will be going away in the U-Haul next week to Cleveland, Ohio. Ryan has been so instrumental in working closely with HR to interview 7 now apparently amazing, stellar wellness director candidates. It's hard for me to think that anybody could step into Ryan's shoes, but I'm encouraged that we have some wonderful, wonderful applicants. And so I will be conducting final interviews with the finalists that will be coming in the next week or so. So we can be looking forward to welcoming a new wellness director in probably the next 4 to 6 weeks. So Ryan, on behalf of all of us, thank you so much for the joy and expertise you have brought to Horizon House in your months with us. So we're going to miss you tremendously. So please take a chance to say farewell to Ryan over the next week before he departs. Just want to also update you on COVID. Not much to report. That's the good news. Just a reminder that we are only putting out COVID communications when there are changes to announce with practices or behaviors or closures or openings. But Joan and the communications team will be keeping the Horizon House Connect COVID information up to date on a weekly basis. Every time we have a new case, it does not necessarily mean that COVID information will be automatically updated, but it will be updated weekly at a minimum. And so currently we've had some staff residents recover and finish isolation. So currently we have 2 independent living residents still finishing up their isolation periods. No new cases since it was last reported. We have 3 independent living staff members who are in their various stages of recovery. And we just identified an AL, assisted living staff member, confirmed to be positive this morning. So we're going to continue to see cases. Unfortunately, that transmission rate within King County, currently at 311 per 100,000, has not quite started to dip yet. I keep looking forward to seeing when we're going to hit that plateau. It's continuing to run a little over 1,000 cases per day for that transmission rate of 311. So we're not out of the woods yet. And thus we are remaining with the mask requirement to stay in place until we see the county numbers come down. So continue to be vigilant. Please wear your mask securely. For those of you who have had exposures, as I have been doing contact tracing, just a reminder that even if you test negative after the recommended 5 days of testing following exposure, you are strongly encouraged per CDC guidance to continue those strong precautions for 10 full days after exposure. The guidance is clear. You should be wearing your mask firmly in place, even with others in your apartment who are not in your household and in public places through the full 10 days. Some have emailed me saying, well, I had a lunch date on the 6th day or the 7th date. My recommendation is if you are going to choose to participate, that you give a courtesy heads up to your guests that you've had an exposure. You tested negative on day 5, if in fact that was the case, and you want to extend a courtesy based on their decision as to whether they are comfortable dining with you without mask, knowing you're still in that 10-day window. So just please be sensitive to others, since that is the guidance. On to some formal announcements. I just want to let you know that the drug drop-off box is finally here, secured, installed, and available to accept your medications. That is located on the B1 floor, and it is next to the pool entrance near the TV room, across from Erica Campbell's office, or closest to the gym would be another way to phrase it. It is a drop box that accepts, as you'll note up on the slide, it accepts outdated or expired or unused medications. I do recommend taking a black Sharpie if you're unable to peel off the label and just black out your name. The drop-off box can accept vitamins, prescription ointments, even pet medications, prescription patches, and over-the-counter medicines that perhaps have expired. This drop-off box does not accept needles, inhalers, aerosol cans, thermometers, general lotions, liquids, or hydrogen peroxide. So please honor those requirements for the drug drop-off box. I also want to draw your attention. We had it installed a while ago, but just to remind everyone that we also have a Sharps container available for your use, and it is in the public restroom on the B1 level, directly across from the exercise classroom. I was intentional about that location so it would be discreet. For those of you who want to have utmost privacy in disposing of noodles, I do know that there are a number of pharmaceutical companies for certain types of injections you may be receiving that also offer free Sharp needles containers that you can ship back from your own apartment. So that is also an option that is extended from a number of drug companies. Now, highlighting the drug drop-off box and the Sharps container, I want to really reiterate and emphasize and reassure you that I am not running a drug cartel out of Horizon House. So these are to supply you with the ability to discard of your unwanted or expired medications and certainly used needles. In terms of nursing support, I want to just reiterate that you have available to you access to a nurse most of the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They come from assisted living. They always have. And I do want to remind you that while we work hard to preserve our precious nursing resources, please, if you are going to be away from the community overnight, please remember to alert reception that you're going to be away. Because of the motion monitor sensors that are in your apartment for your well-being and safety, if there has not been movement detected within 24 hours, that triggers a signal for reception to call the apartment first. Fortunately, when there are residents there, they will answer the phone and say, oops, I've been in bed perhaps, I haven't moved, or perhaps it indicates that there is a motion monitor issue that needs to be reviewed by our facilities team. But when there is no answer to reception making that first call, we send a nurse. And the good news is a majority of the time, 99% of the time, the apartment is empty. So versus a resident being on the floor who was unable to summon help following a fall. I can only recall one time in all of my years here where we found a resident who had expired, had passed away. So I want to just protect our nursing resources. Please check out so we don't have to unnecessarily send a nurse, because that takes time for our nurses to grab their medical equipment that they take with them to travel and leave our residents in assisted living. I also want to emphasize, if you are aware you've accidentally pressed your pendant, pulled your pull cord in your restroom, or you knocked your pendant as you were walking and brushed it against the wall. Again, the protocol is our reception team will make a call to the apartment first. And oftentimes we don't get a call, or I should say an answer, that will then automatically trigger a dispatch of the nurse. If you answer the phone and I say, oops, I apologize, I accidentally hit my pendant, then we can cancel the notice to the nurse to have to travel to your apartment. So when we don't get that answer, we send a nurse. And I know some of you have been a little surprised to see the nurse appear, and sometimes they're not even aware that you may have accidentally pressed the pendant. So if you can, please answer that phone, especially if you're aware you have accidentally triggered that pendant activation unintentionally, so we can save the nursing resources. We do have occasions where we can't offer tower call support because we perhaps have had a nurse call out and we're still working on trying to find coverage. And so we have to stretch the nursing resources we have. And so when we are down on nurses, we have to make sure we have our residents who are paying for that service in assisted living with that care and managing all of the assisted living needs. So there may be occasions where you have asked for a tower nurse and reception will have to say, I'm so sorry, there is not a nurse available at this time. If it is true emergency, let me call 911. Most of our cases are not true 911 emergencies, so the reception team, if known, can let you know when a tower nurse would be available again, if it's something that can wait. We try very hard to minimize the time when we may not have a nurse available to you, but just want to make you aware of that as we juggle those precious nursing resources and labor. And just also shifting gears off of healthcare. Looks like we may have a question. Jean, we're going to bring a microphone to you.
I had a question about hitting the pendant, or in my case, my wristwatch, wrist thing. If I'm in the back stairway, or if I hit it and I'm aware that I'm hitting it against the laundry machine or something like that, there's no place where there's a phone for you to check me. If I'm aware of it, should I be calling you, or how would you find me in the staircase anyhow?
So the question is, if I were in the stairwell and accidentally bumped my pendant and were aware that it was activated, what we would appreciate you doing is, as soon as you can get to a phone, call reception. Because the activations of your pendant and activation of your pull cord links wirelessly to a system at reception. So they receive those incoming calls. So call reception as soon as you're able, if able to. And in terms of, there is a radius, Brian Byers might be able to help me. I don't see facilities. There is a radius, from what I understand, of how far out your pendant will pick up. So in other words, if you're not in your apartment, I believe it will activate to a certain degree your location. Now, stairwell can be a little nebulous, what stairwell exactly. So there may be some hunting, which is why it's so important, if you know it's an accidental press, to definitely call reception. Any other questions on that? I see one back here, Karen.
Yeah, I have a question about what's the extent of the nursing help that we can get? I have had some plastic surgery. I have a dressing in the middle of my back that I absolutely cannot monitor. What do I do?
So I communicated in February and also made available. So Karen, I'd be happy if you want to email me to resend you a copy. I have prepared and we had distributed in all of your boxes in February, and I believe it may now be on HH Connect resources. If you have a bandage change that's going to be routine for several bandage changes, we have resources listed where you can engage home care. Home care has a program where they have nurses and they delegate, meaning the nurse comes, looks at the situation, the wound, the rash, whatever may require the dressing change or the bandage change. And what they will do is they train their home caregivers to change it, and a nurse comes at certain intervals to reassess to make sure it's healing and that it is properly be attended to. So that is one guidance. And then there is also another resource through home health. And that is where you can find out from your doctor's office if you would qualify for a home health nurse to come to your apartment, depending on the type of wound and the care requirements, if that would be an option. So that's always my first recommendation, is to see if you qualify for a home health nurse to come for every single one. That's a higher benefit paid, whereas home care is private pay. And that is if you would have the home care agencies such as Can Do or another one of your choice would enlist their contracted nurse to come take a look at it and train their caregivers to do the actual bandage change. I've had a couple of residents say that they have a friend or a neighbor who's comfortable changing a Band-Aid or a bandage. So that is a personal preference. But I'd be happy, Karen, if you want to email me, and I'll send you that resource sheet again as well. All right. We also have a couple of other quick announcements just to let you all know that we did finalize our West Wing meetings. I believe the total were about 75, 76 individual one-on-one resident meetings that Mike, Christy, Seymour, CFO, myself, we all participated and rotated based on our schedules. And of course, we had Ann Brand and George Counts, who were resident representatives who accompanied us on those individual meetings with West Wing residents and for residents in West Facing apartments and the Central Tower. Very, very helpful to have a lot of perspective, to learn, to understand, and identify the preferences of each of those impacted residents if the West Wing Towers should go forward. What will happen next from here is the data from all of those sessions and the learnings and preferences are being compiled and will be over the next couple of months to identify some kind of a construct so we can start to sort essentially and understand what are the key buckets of preferences and to plan accordingly for when we make the final decision on go or no go on the West Wing Tower. We'll be sharing that information this fall. And last but not least, a couple of bright spot photos. Hopefully you all has a chance to participate in some way or another. Juneteenth celebrations that were held earlier. Really a wonderful job in collaboration between residents and the employee recognition team to feature displays and different activities around that. And then we also have, as Brian Byers mentioned earlier, just fabulous events around Pride Month and this great display here. Please, again, come join us in the Fireside Lounge at 2:30 for the Pride Parade and encourage you to come. And I believe that's it for displays. Is that right? Yes. And I also want to just take a note too. We were limited on photo space, so we didn't get to get any in here. I have to share you, as we are starting to live with COVID and continue to take those important precautions, I want to just share that there is so much coming back to assisted living now. We've been able to incorporate and bring back more programs. Ilda Copacalo, our Life Enrichment Director, sitting over the table here, she and the Life Enrichment team are doing an outstanding job of bringing back programs. We're still being somewhat limited on the outside vendors we're bringing in. We'll start to bring those individuals back in as we start to see the county case numbers coming down. But we've got programs, there is life, there is joy. We had our very own evening shift EVS team member, Brian Navarre. He also is Dorothy Drummond. And he came as part of Pride Month and Assisted Living and featured himself as Dorothy Drummond in Drag Queen. He was absolutely fabulous. It was amazing. Yes, I hope that Dorothy is going to be back. It was joyful. There's just a lot of great things happening in assisted living now, and I'm seeing the shining eyes again. And I say that because in our early days of COVID, when we had a lot of COVID and the outbreaks were occurring in long-term care facilities, certainly with us as well. I was on the front lines in full PPE for 13 days straight, helping to care for our residents with COVID. And I can tell you over those months, it was heartbreaking to see the light dimmering in some of our residents. And it's so great to see that joy coming back for our residents. And I'm seeing that with you as programs are coming back and there's a lot more committee work engagement. There's life returning, there's vibrancy returning. And I'm just so delighted to see that. So thank you, Ildiko, for all that you and your team are doing. Thank you for helping to bring back that vibrancy by your participation and engagement in all that you do. It's really a joy. We are going to wrap it up. We have our next Fireside Chat at the end of July 29th at 10 a.m. It will be right back in here. And in the meantime, please have a terrific weekend. Enjoy the sunshine while we have it. Enjoy the market, and we'll see you all around the house and hopefully back at 2:30 today. Farewell. Take care.